and Michael's going to do a karate chop for us so that we know that it is time for the bottom line, aka the terrible twos. It's the final 2 questions of the show. It's also the 2 most important questions of the show. So that's why it's the bottom line. Who knew?
Bottom line.
Question number 1 is, it's a toughie. Kasturi's like, oh God, when she hears this question, she Question number 1 is, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of Black Lightning?
I would give this first episode a 7 out of 10. 7 stars out of 10 stars. 7 thumbs up out of 10 thumbs up. Like once it really got going and we really got to see Black Lightning in action, I was in. I was all in. I was like, let's watch this. This is what I want to watch.
Nice.
Sorry, I was just making a note of that. Okay, so 7. I was right on with you. That's what I was picturing, a 7. 7, 7.
You didn't
7.
say that up front, so
Because you get mad when I say a specific number. That's why I try to describe it with words, but I'm not really eloquent enough. But I was thinking 7.
sometimes when he gives a specific number, I'll like change my score so it's different than what he said.
Just to teach me a lesson. Kasturi, I'm going to see if the number in my head matches what you say. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of Black Lightning?
Well, how do I know you're not cheating? How do I know you're not just going to say you guessed it right?
Okay, I was going to say 4.
Maybe. Well, initially, my first thought was a 4. But
look at this guy.
But she said
before you mentioned that you were going to guess, I had already changed my thought because I thought
no, I don't know.
Into a 5. I said I'm going to give it a 5 because there was a lot missing. There wasn't enough explored. A little bit lazy, in my opinion, in terms of topics and vibes. But I gave it a solid 5 instead of the 4 because I thought it had a lot of potential. I would love to see more, even though I felt like there was a lot that I didn't get from it, a lot that I was missing, that I was lacking. And I think that's because I went into it with the expectation of an old school Stanley Marvel Black superhero character. So I think in that case, in that spirit, I'm going to give it a 6 because I'm biased.
Keep her talking. We're going to get a 7 pretty soon.
Fair. Yeah, it's not fair to have. Yeah, I had an expectation. So I would say 6. A 6.
Very good.
That's my final answer.
6.9.
I would say a 6.
She's like, back to a 5, asshole. It's back to a 5 now. Yeah, I think this is a show in which the series itself is better than the pilot, and that happens sometimes when they're not necessarily confident in an existing fan base. Sometimes when you have an existing fan base, they're way too confident. They don't give you much information because they're like, they already know. They read the books, they played the video game, and we're like, we haven't. You need to still write a good episode. This is the other way around, where they weren't confident that people would know about it, so they tried to cram everything in. And it felt like it felt a little herky-jerky. It felt like a little too much, but I think that the show itself is going to be better because clearly it's a fun idea and it's cool, and we've got the sidekicks that I was already hoping to get by the second season. We're getting that right now.
Definitely want to see more, especially after having this conversation.
Wait. Oh wait, what? Oh man, I should not have drifted off there because I was thinking about my number. So here we go. And the
second question.
The reason I knew that Kasturi didn't like it is because when we were talking on the phone, by the way, I was like, "Oh, we're doing Black Lightning," and she's like, "Oh, that show is terrible, but okay." So I was like, don't tell me that. Don't tell me.
Eater, and did I say terrible?
Yeah, but I'm glad you gave it a chance and watched it a second time and enjoyed it more the second time because
I actually did. I enjoyed it more the second time around, and I'm gonna watch some more. Yeah, for sure.
Brian, what's your score?
We just did it again. My score is also a 6. I was going to brag about being in between the two of you, but now I can't because Kasturi moved hers up. So I'm just a 6 like Kasturi. Okay. Now is the even more important question. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Black Lightning. But now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, would you watch the second episode of your own volition?
I would. I'm very interested to see the daughter's powers come to fruition, see those mature, and see them become superheroes in their own right. So I would definitely watch the second.
Kasturi, we might be able to guess, but why don't you tell us if you would watch the second episode of your own volition?
I think I'm gonna skip on over to first episode, season 2.
Interesting.
I think that's what I'm gonna do. That's my goal. Because I want to see just where it's developed, from them getting feedback, I'm sure from the audience, from them watching back, and from them critiquing themselves. I want to see some growth, and I think I'll probably get that around season 2.
But you might miss out on Tobias.
Well, if I do, I'll have to go back. Yeah, I'll have to go into a Reddit kind of thing and find out where the episodes Tobias is predominant in, and go watch those.
Mm-hmm. So technically, that sounds like a no. Yeah, wow.
2, but a yes for season 2. I'm today actually. I'm gonna start season 2 and see if it changed my mind.
Really interesting. That's really similar to my answer, because I don't want to watch the second episode. I'm very curious, but
he hardly ever does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious, but I'm more curious about the story than I am in actually sitting down and watching more of this. So yes. I don't know if I'll watch the first episode of the second season or go to a Reddit. I think I'm just going to ask Rico and be like, and I know what he's going to say, dude, bro, you got to watch it. It gets better. You'll love it by the second season. All shit's he's going to say all this. And I'm like, why don't you just tell me about it? Tell me a little 45-minute story. I want to hear the story, but I don't want to sit through all that.
You can also just read Wikipedia, but
that's the other thing I do. I spoil it. I just read it.
Hardly ever will say that he'll watch another show. He's the curmudgeon. He's the old crotchety old man who says, "Oh, you better make these shows good for me, you kids, or I'm not gonna watch the second of them."
Wow, you're right. This is the 5th time in a row I've said no.
Wow.
The most recent one was episode 94. The most recent yes was episode 94. Wait, we shouldn't tell each other that, but go check out the Book of Boba Fett. That's episode 94. And guess what we said about it? Anyway, I think that's about it for us today, everybody. Kasturi, thank you so much for joining us. Boy, what fun it has been to watch your hands light up and your great insights.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed you guys, all your humor. This has been exciting. I'm so grateful and glad that you guys had me here. Don't let it be the last time. WTF Boondocks, guys.
Damn, she remembered. We did put that in the notes already, though. Okay, so that's great. Thank you for that recommendation. And everybody check out her goodies in the description box below and follow her and support all of her awesome stuff. And if you want us to review something, type in WTF and whatever you want us to review, say WTF Boondocks or WTF Three's a Crowd, whatever. Where do we go from here, Michael?
I think we need to talk about what this podcast was.
I thought so. Okay. Whew. All right. So this podcast was loads of fun, and with 1 out of 3 of us with great hair. Yeah. Don't assume, Kester.
No, mine would be better, but it's falling out.
You called me a 6, so maybe we're not talking about me.
No, it's
we are
obviously you.
This podcast was electrifying, mostly from Kasturi's hands going into the sunlight and shocking us. Whoa!
This podcast was Informational. Ooh, yeah. This podcast was enlightening.
Ah,
Thank you.
nailed it.
Yeah, did that.
I thought we were going to go into an NPR voice after that. Well, now that you've learned the information of the day.
Nailed it.
Oh gosh.
So everybody, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. And remember, most importantly, what Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to say.
Don't forget, people, to register to be an organ donor with Donate Life. Just go to their website and choose your state and then register to be an organ donor. Even if you're already registered, it's tons of fun to go register again. Mm-hmm. And then after you're done doing that, don't forget to watch the first of things.
Cue the music and freeze frame.
No, only
Black Lightning.
Kasturi DJs for us. Then we'll freeze frame.
Yeah.